The Last Supper was painted here 500 years ago for the refectory of Santa Maria delle Grazie.
Oak Island, the place where the world's greatest secrets have been hidden for centuries. But what happened this time surprised everyone. Emma Culligan, Oak Island's new researcher, suddenly discovered something beneath the ground during excavation that wasn't like any ordinary tunnel. Beneath the soil, a sealed metallic gate, and ancient carvings surrounding it, as if someone had deliberately hidden it. The team initially thought it was a normal shaft, but when the scanner detected a cavity inside, everyone's breath stopped. Inside was a secret chamber, a room that had been hidden from the world for centuries. No one knew what it contained: gold, ancient documents, or something that shouldn't have been touched. Emma's eyes were filled with both fear and excitement. The camera was rolling, the crew stepped back, and a voice rang out, "It's hollow inside." What happened next? The production team stopped the excavation after seeing it. Is this the same chamber mentioned in old maps and Templar symbols? Or is something more serious afoot on Oak Island? Whatever the case, the truth can no longer be hidden. If you want to know what was found inside that chamber, be sure to watch the video until the end. And yes, like, comment, share, and don't forget to subscribe, because what comes next will change the story of Oak Island forever. Emma Culligan's name is no longer new to the Oak Island mystery world, but her story began simply. Emma wasn't a reality TV star, but a serious researcher who had achieved top honors in both archaeology and history. Her curiosity always revolved around one question: can there be truth in myths? Since childhood, she had been interested in ancient maps, underground structures, and lost civilizations. That curiosity led her to Oak Island, where she made the biggest move of her life. When the Lagina brothers team planned to resume excavations around Garden Shaft, they needed someone who could analyze ground data using modern technology. That's where Emma came in. She had worked not only in traditional archaeology, but also in satellite mapping, GPR, ground-penetrating radar, and AI-based analysis. When Rick Lagina learned of her past projects, where she discovered the hidden path of 12th century tunnels through digital reconstruction, he immediately included her in the Oak Island project. Emma's approach was different from everyone else's. She believed that Oak Island could be decoded not just by digging, but by pattern understanding. She created a model by digitally overlaying old maps, diaries, and soil samples. In this model, she discovered some unusual readings near Garden Shaft, like the reflection of a cavity or metallic surface. Initially, everyone thought it was a normal distortion, but Emma was convinced that something was hidden there, unnoticed until now. She spent many nights alone at the site, reviewing data. Gradually, her research began to provide proof that Garden Shaft was not just a mining tunnel, but part of an ancient structure. The Lagina brothers gave her full access, and excavation began. When the scanner first detected a hollow sound, Emma was present at the site. At that moment, she said, "I think we just touched history." From that day, the story of Oak Island took a new turn. Emma Culligan was no longer just a researcher, but the face of a discovery that rekindled the world's curiosity. On the third day of excavation, Emma Culligan installed a ground-penetrating radar, GPR machine at the site. This was an advanced device that can show details of every layer hidden beneath the ground. Initially, the readings appeared normal, but after a while, Emma noticed something strange on the screen. The signal was bouncing from a spot in the lower layers, as if there was a void. She immediately said, "Wait, this isn't normal." The entire team gathered around her, and everyone looked closely at the monitor. There was clearly a distinct pattern, as if a cavity had formed within the soil. Zooming in on the GPR data revealed that the cavity's shape was not natural. It was almost circular, with straight lines visible along the edges, reminiscent of human construction. Emma measured the data and found the depth to be approximately 65 feet. There was also a metallic reflection from the top of the cavity, as if there was an old door or panel. The rest of the team initially assumed it was an error, as Oak Island's soil often contains mineral interference. But Emma said, "It's not interference. It's a built-in structure." As the machine scanned the surface below, the readings became increasingly strange. Small air pockets were detected inside the cavity, indicating an empty room-like space. Metallic spots were also scattered throughout, like joints or locks in a chamber. At that moment, the crew was both excited and scared, because every time something new was discovered on Oak Island, it meant history was repeating itself. Rick Lagina asked Emma, "Is this a natural cave or man-made?" Emma simply smiled and said, "If this is natural, then nature just built a perfect room." That line completely changed the atmosphere. The direction of the excavation was now set. There was something hidden beneath Garden Shaft for centuries. The entire team now started preparing to reach that cavity because everyone knew, if this discovery turned out to be true, then the biggest secret of Oak Island was about to be revealed. The fourth day of excavation was the most stressful yet. Emma Culligan and the Lagina brothers' team had been digging near the garden shaft since early morning. The soil was being removed slowly, scanner readings taken every few inches. Cameras were recording from every angle. The slight moisture in the air and the smell of dampness emanating from the ground added to the suspense. As the excavation progressed, the soil's texture began to change. Emma noticed that the bottom layer was harder and smoother than the rest. She asked the crew to stop and bent down herself. When she removed the soil with her hand, she saw a glimpse of something solid inside. "Wait, there's something here," she said. The camera operator immediately zoomed in. As the last bit of soil was removed, a strange metallic glint was visible, round, embedded in the older layers. Emma shone her flashlight on it, and everything stopped for a moment. It was a rusted metallic gate, thick but clearly outlined. Around it were markings carved into the stone, resembling an ancient code. The crew's faces displayed both disbelief and excitement. Emma gently tapped on the gate, and then a hollow sound, thud, thud, fell silent. She looked at Rick and said, "It's hollow inside." At that moment, the camera's zoom and background music increased simultaneously. The crew erupted in excitement. Everyone understood something significant was lurking beneath. Emma's face was a mix of shock and thrill. Rick immediately ordered that no one touch the gate without analyzing it. Emma took another reading from the scanner. The space inside was approximately 12 by 14 feet. Now it was clear that this wasn't a natural formation, but someone had carefully crafted it. The smell of the soil, the cold metal of the gate, and the silence that surrounded it. Everything made that moment historic. The camera slowly zooms in on Emma's face, her eyes filled with both fear and curiosity. That day, the soil of Oak Island revealed a secret that had been hidden from the world for centuries. The sight of that metallic gate was nothing short of a movie scene. After the mud was removed and a torch shone on it, a strange mixture of shine and rust was visible. The gate was made of thick iron, but its texture was unusual, as if it had been cast not by hand, but from an ancient mold. Its edges bore faint golden marks, which had darkened with age. The most striking feature was a cross-like symbol in the center, resembling a Templar emblem. Surrounding it were small circular carvings, reflecting shapes resembling faded Latin letters. Emma said softly, "This symbol is very old." Rick Lagina and the rest of the team inspected the gate carefully. Experts were called in, who determined that it wasn't ordinary iron, but rather an alloy used during the medieval period. Dr. Spooner estimated that the structure was at least 700 years old. Some said, "It looks like a Templar seal," while others questioned, or maybe even older. The atmosphere of the discussion was both serious and exciting. Everyone wanted to know what lay behind this gate. The camera crew recorded every inch of the gate with high-definition lenses. When zoomed in, some strange shapes appeared among the carvings, like the outlines of an animal or mythical creature. A light breeze blew in the background, and every time someone lightly touched the gate, a faint echo was heard from within, deep, cold, and mysterious. It seemed as if air was escaping from a void beneath. Emma made a digital scan of the carvings on her laptop and analyzed it with an AI filter. The results surprised everyone. Some symbols resembled old Templar scripts, but others resembled some unknown ancient code. Someone joked, "Maybe it's a warning," but no one laughed. The atmosphere at that moment was filled with both fear and fascination. Emma stood in front of the gate and whispered, "If this opens, history will rewrite itself." With that line, the camera fades out, leaving viewers wondering what lies ahead will be the most dangerous part of Oak Island's story. After Emma Culligan's discovery, Rick Lagina immediately opened his personal archive, which had housed every small and large historical note related to Oak Island over the decades. Old map rolls were opened, and parchments with faded ink and torn edges were spread out on the table. These maps bore a cross mark in several places, the same symbol that appeared on the metallic gate. One parchment contained the handwritten line, "Beneath the cross lies the keeper's chamber." Upon reading this line, the entire crew fell silent for a moment, as the garden shaft was exactly aligned with the cross. Rick took out his diary, where he had written notes from the excavations in Season 5 and Season 8. It read, "Magnetic field irregularities were detected near the cross alignment." No one had noticed at the time, but now those readings and Emma's findings matched each other perfectly. It seemed as if clues from every season had finally come together. Marty Lagina said, "We've seen these patterns before, but no one has ever connected them." Emma said softly, "Maybe that's what they wanted, for us to never connect it." Using history books and Templar archives, the team tried to decode the symbols. Many experts believed these maps were created by the Knights Templar, who visited Nova Scotia in the 14th century. Some historians even suggested that the Nolan's Cross on Oak Island is not just a stone formation, but a coded map pointing to an underground chamber. Camera visuals show zoom shots of old maps, where the same circle, cross, and markings are visible through faded ink. A soft humming sound in the background and the rustling sound of parchment add to the suspense. Rick's voice comes off screen. "If these clues are true, we're about to uncover not a legend, but a hidden design." At that very moment, Emma folds the corner of a map, and a new mark appears below. "The Chamber of Light." That word silenced everyone. Now the story of Oak Island wasn't just about treasure. It had become a search for an ancient secret. Emma Culligan and the Lagina brothers team now stood in front of the metallic gate. The excavation couldn't be halted, so they adopted a safer method, sending a small probe camera inside. This camera was attached to a thin steel wire and was designed to withstand extreme underground pressure. As the camera was pushed through the gate's tiny crack, everyone's eyes were glued to the laptop screen. Initially, Only mud and dust were visible. But after a few seconds, a faint reflection shone in front of the lens, like a shiny stone or metal wall. The camera moved slowly forward. The air inside was thick, and every movement raised a cloud of dust. Visuals were repeatedly blurred, but the occasional glimpse made everyone uneasy. The camera spotted some carvings on the walls, resembling ancient symbols. Emma zoomed in and revealed some shapes: triangles, spirals, and cross patterns. A faint hiss could be heard in the background, as if air was passing through a small opening. The sound added to the mysterious atmosphere. Rick asked, "Can you see anything clearly?" Emma replied softly, "No. But there's light reflecting inside here, not from a natural source. Something metallic." The camera moved forward a little, and suddenly, static appeared in the feed. The picture flickered, then a completely black screen for 2 seconds. Silence fell over the crew. Tension was evident on everyone's faces. Someone said, "Maybe a wire is stuck." But Emma immediately replied, "No, it's signal interference." When the feed restarted, the camera showed something no one had expected: a small, circular opening in the center of the wall from which a faint blue light was emanating. Emma's face hardened, and she simply said, "This isn't normal." At that moment, the camera feed glitched again and cut out completely. Only a faint humming remained on the screen, along with the static noise. The crew stared at each other. No one had an answer. At that moment, the mystery of Oak Island deepened, and everyone knew there was no turning back. The visuals captured in the last few seconds of the camera feed astonished the entire team. When Emma played the footage in slow motion, strange markings on the walls became clearly visible. These weren't ordinary carvings. Some symbols resembled Latin letters, while others resembled runes or some unknown language. It seemed as if someone had written these markings as a special code or spell. One symbol consisted of a cross inside a half-circle and 3 small dots below it. Rick, upon first seeing it, said, "This looks like a religious code." Emma froze the footage and took screenshots of the symbols and sent them to experts. The next day, 2 archaeologists and a linguistic expert from Halifax University arrived at the site. They said some of the markings resembled medieval Latin, but many of the symbols didn't match any known language. One of the experts said, "These are probably modified forms of Nordic runes, or coded messages from a secret order." Emma asked, "So, are they a warning?" To which she softly replied, "Maybe, or maybe a way to protect something." The team digitally enhanced the carvings, and when the light angle changed, more patterns appeared around the symbols, as if someone had written a layer-by-layer message. Some markings were circles within triangles, with an inverted cross in the middle. Rick said, "These are the same shapes we saw on old Templar maps." A heaviness descended on the atmosphere, as if everyone felt this wasn't just history, but a warning. A debate broke out among the experts. Some said it was a secret burial code. Others said it was part of forbidden scripture. Emma simply stared at the screen. Curiosity lingered in her eyes, but there was also a slight fear within her. She said softly, "If these symbols are really a warning, then maybe we shouldn't have opened this chamber." Just then, a slight vibration was felt in the camera room, as if something had moved beneath the ground. Everyone on the team paused for a moment. Oak Island was no longer just an excavation site, but a living mystery. When news of the chamber's carvings reached the media, Oak Island once again became the subject of global discussion. Following the Discovery Channel's exclusive footage, Rick Lagina and Emma Culligan were invited to Halifax for a special panel discussion. Present were Dr. Ian Spooner, 2 senior historians, and some archaeologists who had previously worked on Oak Island. The atmosphere was serious from the very first minute of the panel. Rick calmly stated, "What we saw wasn't natural. There's a clear design." Dr. Spooner spoke from a scientific perspective. It could be a chamber created by underground pressure, but the metallic gate and carvings can't be ignored. Emma showed the footage and said, "These patterns weren't created by any geological process. Someone created them intentionally." But historian Professor Williams replied, "Or maybe this isn't a Templar vault, but a storage chamber for ancient settlers." Then an expert interrupted. "Templar or settlers, it doesn't matter. Someone must have hidden something there." The discussion had now split into two groups, those who believed it to be a Templar vault and those who called it a natural cavern with coincidental patterns. Emma calmly said, "If it's natural, then nature is very artistic." Everyone smiled slightly, but there was truth in her words. Rick referenced his old diary, stating that magnetic anomalies had been found there many years earlier. Dr. Spooner supported, saying, "The Templar theory is difficult to prove, but the signs are impossible to deny." The panel decided that the excavation would proceed only if new safety clearance was obtained. But that clearance never came. 2 days later, government officials arrived at the Oak Island excavation site. They declared the entire area a restricted access zone, citing safety concerns due to unstable ground and potential gas leakage. The media was told the excavation was temporarily closed, but the crew was not allowed inside. Both Rick and Emma were shocked, as the site was completely stable. Marty Lagina said on camera, "We've worked here for years, and this never happened." Theories immediately began spreading on social media. People on Reddit, Twitter, and YouTube raised questions. Is the government hiding something? Hashtags began trending. Otur Oak Island cover-up. Yon Emma Culligan discovery. Templar chamber. Some users claimed to have seen helicopters hovering over the site at night, while others said officials had sealed the chamber. Emma told the news crew, "We were asked to stop excavation, but no clear reason was given." Rick said, "They said it's for safety. But I've been digging here for 10 years. This isn't about safety." That same night, a crew member shared secretly taken footage showing new markings around the metallic gate, as if someone had fixed something there. The leak further fueled the theories. The media began raising questions. If the excavation was unsafe, why did the government completely seal the chamber? Was there something inside that shouldn't have been shown to the public? Both Rick and Emma declined to make public statements, but the worry on their faces spoke volumes. Viewers were now asking one question. Was the mystery of Oak Island really about to be revealed, and had someone hidden it again? From that day on, excavations ceased, and warning boards were put up around the site. But in the stillness of the night, a faint humming sound is sometimes heard near the garden shaft, the same one recorded by the probe camera. Emma said, "Maybe that chamber is still alive. It just doesn't want to talk to us." And that line takes the Oak Island story into a new phase of fear and suspense. The internet exploded as soon as the Oak Island excavation was halted. Within hours, blurry photos and leaked footage of Emma Culligan's discovery site began circulating on Reddit. Someone posted drone footage showing a tarp covering the garden shaft, and another claimed to have seen a government vehicle there. Hashtags Yachan Emma Culligan, Bajai Oak Island Secret Chamber, and Templar Vault began trending on social media. New videos were being uploaded to YouTube every hour. The secret they don't want you to see, and proof of ancient energy in Oak Island. Some called the footage fake, while others claimed unusual electromagnetic readings had been found inside the chamber. One user even said, "My radio picks up strange humming every night since they found that gate." Emma herself didn't come online, but clips of old interviews with Rick and Marty Lagina began going viral. Fans theorized that the chamber might contain a Templar power source or a forbidden relic that modern machines couldn't detect. Reddit threads compared satellite images. Some claimed to see a faint blue glow. Scientists attributed it to light reflection, while conspiracy believers said, "That's not reflection, that's activation." Debates erupted on media channels. Some archaeologists called it an exaggeration, but the internet audience was no longer interested in any explanation. Oak Island had once again become a living mystery. Rick Lagina was silent throughout all this. One night, the crew was recording the final interview for a documentary. The studio was dimly lit, and archived footage of the garden shaft was playing in the background. Rick said softly, "We dug into this ground for years, hoping to find treasure, but maybe we disturbed history." His voice was both tired and deep. He added, "Every time we thought we were close to an answer, Oak Island threw up a new question." The camera zooms in on his face, a slight moisture in his eyes, soft piano music in the background. Emma, sitting nearby, said, "People think it's just a story about gold or relics, but maybe it's energy, memory, that still lives in this land." Rick nodded and said, "There are some doors that maybe it's not right to open." The crew was silent for a moment. Then a faint humming sound played in the background, the same one recorded by the probe camera. The camera slowly faded out from Rick's face. His last line became the documentary's most emotional moment. "We got close to the truth, but maybe the truth didn't want us." At the same time, an aerial shot of Oak Island appeared in the background, where the wind was blowing, but dust rose slightly in one spot, near the garden shaft. Text appeared on the screen. "Excavation remains closed. Government statement pending." And beneath it, hashtags resurface. "At Oak Island Secret Chamber. Daughter Emma Culligan. Yanar Rick Lagina tears." Viewers are left with one question. Did Oak Island reveal its secret, or did someone hide it again? After Emma Culligan's discovery, experts around the world were divided into 3 different theories. The first and oldest was the ancient Templar vault theory. According to this theory, the Knights Templar hid their secret possessions on Oak Island, relics mentioned in old Vatican manuscripts. Some experts believe that this chamber could be the place where an object called the Guardian's Key, considered a symbol of spiritual power, was hidden. Many researchers linked the cross symbol on the metallic gate to the Templar crest and suggested that it could be a sacred vault built to protect not just treasure. They argued that the gate's design was so precise that it would be nearly impossible to replicate using 14th century technology. The second theory was much more modern and scientific. Energy containment room hypothesis. Dr. Spooner and some geophysicists believed that the unusual electromagnetic readings inside the chamber were no coincidence. They suggested that there might be some substance emitting energy around the metallic core beneath Oak Island, perhaps magnetic ore, or some ancient energy reactor-like structure. Some AI-based analysis showed a heat signature inside the chamber, not from a static object, but from an active reaction. This theory created a stir online, with people calling it Templar technology, as if some ancient science remained a mystery. The third and most frightening theory was the forbidden burial theory. This theory posits that a sacred or cursed entity was sealed on Oak Island. Some historians said that the words custodi ad lumen, guard the light, appear in old Latin texts, possibly meant to contain an entity. Emma herself saw in the footage that carvings inside the chamber contained inverted crosses and spirals, which are considered warning symbols in many cultures. One expert even asked, "What if it's not a treasure vault, but a tomb?" Rick Lagina simply said, "If this is a tomb, then we shouldn't have disturbed it." Amidst these theories, Emma restarted the chamber feed for a final test. The camera was cautiously inserted through the crack in the gate. Initially, only dust and broken stone were visible. Suddenly, something flashed in the feed. A faint blue light emanated from the interior of the wall. The crew initially thought it was a reflection, but the light began to flicker irregularly, as if a pulse was running. Emma said, "Stabilize the camera," but the feed began to stabilize. Only distorted pixels were visible on the screen. Then the light brightened for a moment, and a sharp humming sound echoed throughout the control room. Rick immediately called out, "Pull it out! Pull the camera out now!" But the signal was completely cut off. The monitor went black, and only a metallic echo was heard, a clang. The team panicked, no one understanding what had happened inside. Emma simply froze, staring at the screen, a look of shock on her face. She said softly, "That wasn't a reflection. It was something moving." Silence fell over the crew. No one spoke, only a distant humming continued, which gradually faded. That night, the air on Oak Island felt heavier than before. The site was officially closed, but the last glimpse of the blue glow remained untouched by the crew. Emma wrote just one line in her notebook: "The light is alive." And that line echoes in the minds of every Oak Island researcher to this day. Was that light a sign of some ancient power, or a secret that humans should never have touched?